All right, guys, so we are going to be starting off on Act 4, Scene 3 today. It is a longer scene. I'm going to try to keep my explanation of it to under 20 minutes per usual. If you are curious, this is Mort. He is our cat. He always looks just very upset. But he's a good boy. So we're gonna head back there. So the last thing that we left off with is Cassius and Brutus need to have a conversation. So they decide to have that conversation. Goodbye, more. In their tent, and so it's gonna be a bit of a back and forth. I would recruit my husband to read this with us. However, he's busy like still being a lawyer, even though we're at home. In fact, he actually had a hearing for court today in our living room. So we had a bow tie and a dress shirt on and then jeans. So if you're curious how that's looking. All right. So head on over to the questions with me if you want. As always, I've got them pulled up on here for your information. I'm also going to set a timer for myself because I want to keep this to about 20 minutes. I think 20 minutes feels digestible, whereas like anything kind of over that feels a little like too much. All right. So I'm going to pull up 20 minutes and get started. All right, so they're in their tent. They're going to have a conversation. Cassius and Brutus are going to kind of have a back and forth, and I'll do my best to read this to you guys. I wish I could put on some sort of like accent or something so that you could easily acknowledge the difference here. However, it is what it is. All right, so we're going to be starting right here on my screen. You're welcome to read along on your own. So Cassius says, that you have wronged me doth appear in this. You have condemned and noted Lucius Pella for taking bribes here of the Sardanians, wherein my letters praying on his side because I knew the man was slighted off. Okay, so he's like, you went after my friend. All right, and Brutus is like, you wronged yourself to write in such a case. He's like, I can't believe you stood up for that fool. And Cassius says, in such a time as this, it is not meet that every nice offense should bear his comment. He's like, dude, this is not the time for us to be going after every little thing. He's like, that's not what we should do. All right. And so he's like, this is so silly. He's like, that's a minor problem. We shouldn't be dealing with this. And Brutus says, let me tell you, Cassius, you yourself are condemned to having an itching palm. An itching palm means he's greedy or he's likely to take money. So like having the itch to steal, but he's got an itching palm, meaning he's willing to take bribes. All right. And he says, you yourself, Cassius, are condemned to having an itching palm, to sell and mart your offices for gold to underservers. Okay, so he's like, you're selling your post, you're willing to be bribed. Okay, Cassius says, I, an itching palm, you know that you are Brutus and speaks this, or by the gods, this speech would be your last. He's like, just because you're my friend is the only reason you're still alive after saying that I'm taking bribes. He's like, ultimately, if you were anybody else, I'd kill you. And Brutus says, the name of Cassius honors this corruption, and chastisement doth therefore hide his head. Chastisement. And Brutus says, remember the Ides of March. The Ides of March, remember, did not great Julius bleed for the justice' sake? What villain touched his body that did stab and not for justice? What shall one of us, that struck the foremost man of this world, for the supporting robbers, shall we now contaminate our fingers with base bribes and sell your mighty space for our large honors, for so much as trash that may have grasped thus? I have rather be a dog that bay of the moon in such a room. He's like, do you not remember our cause? We just murdered a guy for like the same problems. Tyranny, you know? And he's like, and now you're taking bribes. And Cassius is like, Brutus, bait me not. I'll not endure it. You forget yourself to hedge me, and I am a soldier, older in practice, abler than yourself to make conditions. He's like, so I'm the older and more able soldier here. And Brutus goes, go to, you are not, Cassius. Cassius is like, I am. And Brutus says, I say you are not. Cassius says, urge me no more. I shall forget myself. Have mind upon your health. Tempt me no farther away from a wayslight man. Cassius, is it possible? Hear me, for I will speak. Must I give way and room to rash choler? He's like, do I need to really give you space for your quick temper? Shall I be frighted with madmen stares? And Cassius says, oh, you gods, must I endure all of this? Very much a woe is me kind of moment. And Brutus says, all of this? Why, more, fret till your proud heart break. Go show your slaves how choleric you are, and make your bondmen trouble. Must I budge? He's like, I'm not moving on this. Must I observe you? Must I stand and crouch under your testy humor? By the gods, you shall digest the venom of your spleen, though it split you. For, from this day forward, I will use you for my mirth, yea, for my laughter, when you are waspish. So he's making fun of him for being so angry. He's like, waspish. He's like, you got sting. And Cassius says, is it come to this? And Brutus says, you are the better soldier, let it appear so. All right. So they're very much fighting, which is not good for the conspiracy. Okay, you got to think about it like this: if you have two people that were supposed to be on the same side and now they're fighting, it very much shows that like that relationship is breaking down. If you can hear my cat in the background, I'm sorry, he's over. Cassius says, "Is it come to this?" Brutus says, "You say you are the better soldier, making your vaunting true, and it shall please me. For I know part I shall be God to learn of noble men." Cassius is like, you've wronged me every way. You wronged me, Brutus. I said an elder soldier, not better. Did I say better? And Brutus is like, I do not care if you did. He's like, I didn't say I was the better soldier. I just said I was the older soldier. And Brutus is like, I don't care what you said. And Cassius goes, when Caesar lived, he durst not thus have moved me. He's like, Caesar didn't even make me as angry as you make me now, and I murdered him. All right. And Brutus goes, peace, peace, you durst not have so tempted him. And Cassius is like, I durst not. Durst means like darest. Brutus says, no, Cassius, what durst not tempted him? Your life you durst. For your life you durst not. And Cassius says, do not presume so much upon my love. I may do what I shall be sorry for. He's like, you're approaching the edge of my acceptance of this, okay? And Brutus says, you have done what you should be sorry for. There is no terror, Cassius, in your threats, for I am armed so strong in honesty that they pass me as the idle wind, which I respect you. I did send for you certain sums of gold. I sent you certain sums of gold. He's like, I sent you money, which you denied me. Oh, he sent for money, and then he's saying that Brutus is saying Cassius denied him. For I can raise no money by vile means. By heaven, I'd rather coin my heart and drop my blood for drachmas than to wring from the hard hands of peasants their vile trash for any indirection. I did send to you gold for my legions, which you denied me. He's like, I asked for money to help support my army, and you said no. Was that done like Cassius? Should I have answered Caius Cassius so? When Marcus Brutus goes so covetous to lock such rascal counters from his friends, be ready, gods, with all your thunderbolts and dash him to pieces. And he's like, you didn't give me money. I needed money. You said no. Cassius is like, I didn't deny you. And Brutus is like, no, you totally did. Cassius is like, I did not. He was but a fool that brought my answer back. He's like, whoever told you that's wrong, Brutus hath revived my heart. A friend should bear his friend's infirmities, but Brutus makes mine greater than they are. So Cassius is saying, like, Brutus makes a mountain out of a molehill here. He's making it a bigger deal than it needs to be. All right. Brutus says, I do not till you practice them on me. Cassius, you love me not. Brutus, I do not like your faults. He's like, Cassius is like, so what, we're not friends anymore? He's like, I just don't like your faults. And Cassius goes, a friendly I would never see such faults. Okay. Like only a true friend wouldn't see the faults in me. Brutus says, a flatterers would not, though they do appear as huge and as high as Olympus. He's like, yeah, I mean, your friend might, but ultimately, like, when they're as big as yours, I think we need to accept that they need to be acknowledged. Okay, Cassius says, come, Antony and young Octavius, come, revenge yourselves alone on Antony, or on Cassius, for Cassius is a weary world, hated by the one he loves, braved by his brother. Check on a bondman, all his faults observed, set in a notebook, learned and conned by rote. Okay, to write, to cast into teeth. Oh, I could weep my spirit from mine eyes. There is my dagger. Okay, once again, we're getting real dramatic here. Like, literally, Cassius gets out a dagger and gives it to Brutus and is like, you know, if you really feel that way, then just kill me now. I mean, I swear, everybody's always got a dagger and is always saying, like, just kill me. All right? He offers the dagger to Brutus. He's like, here's my naked breast within a heart dear than Pluto's mine, richer than gold. If thou beest a Roman, take it forth. I that denied thee gold will give my heart. Strike as thou didst at Caesar, for I know when thou didst hate him worst, thou lovest him better than ever lovest Cassius. Right? So he's saying, like, you never loved me. You always loved Caesar more. And Brutus is like, sheath your dagger. He's like, you're being ridiculous. Be angry when you will. It shall have scope. Do what you will, dishonor shall be humor. O Cassius, you are yoked with a lamb that carries anger as flint bears fire. Who on force shows a hasty spark, and straight is called again. He's like, you are quick to temper. And Cassius goes, hath Cassius lived to be but mirth and laughter to his Brutus when grief and blood ill temper vexeth him? He's like, well, you got me all riled up. Brutus says, when I spoke that I was ill-tempered too. He's like, I was a little mad when I said it too. And Cassius is like, do you confess so much? Give me your hand. Brutus, and my heart too. And they clasp hands, so they're friends again. Cassius goes, oh, Brutus. And Brutus says, what's the matter? And Cassius says, have you not love enough to bear with me the rash humor with which my mother gave that makes me forgetful? He's like, my mother is the reason I have such a terrible temper. Brutus says, yes, Cassius, and from henceforth, when you are over earnest with your Brutus, he thinks your mother chides and leave you. So he's like, so I know from the future now, like, if you get feisty with me, it's not really you, it's your mother. And our poet, followed by Lucilius, Titinius, and Lucius. Okay. At this point, we should have answered 1, 2, and 4. So number 3 is coming up here in the next page or so. And then we're going to kind of cover 5, 6, and 7 all at once. And then 8 is at the very end. All right. So just stay with me. This is a little bit longer. I'm trying to move through it quick though. Okay. So a poet shows up and says, let me go in and see the generals. There's some grudge between them. 'Tis not that they should meet alone. And Lucilius says, you should not come to them. And the poet's like, well, I'm going in there. Nothing but death can stop me. Cassius, how now? What's the matter? And the poet says, for shame, you generals, what you mean, love and be friends as two such men be, for I have seen more years, I'm sure, than ye. He's like, guys, you need to be friends. This is not how we need to work this out. This would be very bad for our cause. Remember, they're fighting a war against Rome and Antony and Octavius and Lepidus. And if these two kind of disintegrate, that's going to be really bad for their side. All right. And Cassius says, haha, how vilely doth this cynic rhyme. Brutus says, get you hence, sirrah, saucy fellow, hens, get out. Cassius, bear with him, Brutus, 'tis his fashion. And Brutus is like, I will know his humor when knows his time. What the wars do with these jigging fools. Companion hence. Cassius, away be gone, so they kick him out. Brutus says, Lucilius and Titinius, bid the commanders prepare their to lodge their companies for the night. So like tell the people to prepare to settle down for the night. Cassius, and come yourselves and bring Messala with you immediately to us. Lucilius and Titinius exit. Lucius, a bowl of wine. Lucius exits. Okay. So here's where we're going to see number 3. So Brutus is also dealing with some pretty heavy stuff. In fact, he's going to reveal it here. He says, I did not think you could have been so angry. Oh, Cassius, I am sick with many griefs, says Brutus. Brutus is very upset. Cassius says, of your philosophy you make no use, if you give place to accidental evils. Brutus says, no man bears me better. Portia is dead. Cassius, ha, what, Portia? And Brutus is like, yes, she is dead. And Cassius is like, how escaped I killing when I crossed you so? And oh, insupportable and touching loss upon what sickness. And Brutus says, so he's asking her, like, how did she die? And Brutus is like, well, she was impatient of my absence and grief that young Octavius and Mark Antony have made themselves so strong. So she was nervous about how this was going to go. For her with death, the tidings came that she fell distracted. In her attendant's absence, she swallowed fire. So Portia has my favorite death of the whole year. She swallows hot coals. She has stabbed herself in the thigh previously, and then she swallows hot coals here to kill herself. She's a little bit of a lot, just saying. And Cassius is like, and she died so, and Brutus is like, even so, and Cassius is like, oh, you mortal gods. So enter Lucius with wine and tapers, so wine and candles, and Brutus says, speak no more of her, give me a bowl of wine, in this I'll bury all unkindness. So he plans to drink to forget, basically. Cassius says, my heart is thirsty for a noble pledge, fill Lucius till the wine overswell this cup, I cannot drink too much, and Brutus is love. He's like, I'm going to keep my friend company tonight. He drinks, Lucius exits, enter Titinius and Messala. All right. We're going to continue reading here. Let me see how much time I got. I think about 8 minutes. Okay. So I think I can get this done. So Brutus says, come in, Titinius, welcome, good Messala. Now sit close with this taper here and call on the questions of necessity. So Titinius and Messala are going to become kind of a fixture of this section. They said, Portia, art thou gone? And Brutus is like, so Cassius is like, Portia's really dead. And Brutus is like, no more, I pray, Messala. I have received here. So he's like, I don't want to talk about it. Messala, I have received letters that young Octavius and Mark Antony come down upon us with mighty power, bending their expedition towards Philippi. All right, so he's like, they're coming for us. Antony and the others, they're coming to Philippi to take care of us because we killed Caesar. Messala says, myself have letters of the self-same tenor. And Brutus is like, with what addition? And Messala says, that by prescription and bills about law, Octavius Lepidus have put to death 100 senators. All right, so basically the triumvirate that's still in Rome has made an effort to purge the conspiracy, and so they actually have been killing people left and right to get that they believe are on the side of Brutus and Cassius. And Brutus says, there in our letters do not well agree. Mine speak of 70 senators that died by their prescriptions, Cicero being one. So Cicero from a previous act is now dead. And Messala says, Cicero is dead, and by the order of your prescription, have the letters from your wife, my lord? And so he's like, do you have any letters from your wife? And he's like, nope. I wonder why. And then Messala's like, nothing, nor nothing writ in your letters writ of her? And Bruce is like, nothing, Messala. Messala says, methinks that's strange. Why ask? Have you aught of hers in yours? He's like, no, my lord. So Brutus is all like, what? Is she supposed to be in your letters? Come on, dude. And Brutus says, now, as you are Roman, tell me true. And Messala says, like a Roman bear, the truth I tell, for certain she is dead, and by a strange manner. And Brutus says, why, farewell, Portia, we must die. Messala, when with meditating that she must die once, I have the patience to endure it now. And Messala says, even so, great men, great losses should endure. He's like, I understand that you might already know this, but it's important, like, to feel it, basically. And Messala says, even so, great men, we're on to Cassius. I have as much of this in art as you, but with my nature cold not to bear it. Well, to you, our work alive. Okay, so he's like, let's focus on what we need to get done now. What do you think of marching to Philippi? So Antony and the triumvirate are going to be heading towards Philippi, and the group, Caesar's side, or Brutus and Cassius's side, is talking about what they should do for their strategy if they should march to Philippi and meet them there. And Cassius says, I don't think it's good. So Brutus wants to march to Philippi, and Cassius is like, I don't think so. And Brutus is like, well, why not? Your reason? And Cassius says, this is it. It is better that the enemy seek us, so he shall waste his means. We are his soldiers, doing himself offense, whilst we lying still are full of rest, defense, and nimbleness. He's like, I don't think we should be chasing Antony. I think Antony should chase us. And Brutus says, if you guys are familiar with like the Battle of Shiloh from the Civil War, I always think of it when I read this, is this idea of like kind of like coming up behind someone, or kind of coming onto somebody here and cutting them off with the past, basically. Brutus says, good reasons must force give place to battle. The people twixt Philippi and this ground do stand in forced affection, for they have grudged us contribution. The enemy marching along by them shall make a number fuller up. Come on fresh, new added, encouraged, so which advantage we shall cut them off. If at Philippi we do face them, these people are our back. He's like, if we march to Philippi, so Brutus is like, if we march to Philippi, we can swell up our numbers, we can add more people to our cause, and then when we meet Brutus at the battle, or when we meet Antony at the battlefield, we're going to have even more people on our side. And Cassius says, hear me, good brother. And Brutus says, under your pardon, you must note, besides, that we have tried the utmost of our friends. Our legions are brimful, our cause is ripe, the enemy increaseth each day, and we are at a height, are ready to decline. There is a tide in the affairs of men, which, taken the flood, leads to the fortune. Admitted the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. On such full sea we are now afloat, and we must take current when it serves, or lose our ventures. He's like, we have to strike while the iron is hot here. And Cassius is like, then with your will, go on. We'll along ourselves and meet them at Philippi. Okay, so they're gonna head to Philippi, and Cassius probably concedes here because he wants to make amends with Brutus and appear united. And Brutus says, the deep of night is crept upon our talk, and nature dost obey, which we will negard with a little rest. There is no more to say. And Cassius is like, no more, good night. They stand, early tomorrow we shall rise. I love this scene as we head into it because a ghost is going to appear. And so Brutus says, Lucius, enter Lucius, my gown. Lucius exits, farewell, good Messala, good night to Tinius, noble Cassius, good night and good repose. Cassius says, oh, my dear brother, this is an ill beginning of the night. Never come such division between our souls. He's like, let's never fight again. Let us not, Brutus. And Brutus says, everything is well. Cassius says good night. Brutus says good night. Titinius and Messala say good night. Brutus says farewell. So everybody leaves, but Brutus and Lucius, and he gets dressed for bed. And Lucius says, here in the tent. And Brutus says, what thou speakest drowsily, poor knave, I blame thee not. Thou art overwatched. Call Claudius and some of my other men. I'll have them sleep on the cushions in my tent. So he's like, I've got people to keep me safe. Lucius says, Varro and Claudius. Enter Varro and Claudius. Varro calls my lord. Brutus, I pray you, sires, lie in my tent and sleep. It shall be that I raise you by and by on business to my brother Cassius. He's like, I just need you in case I need to tell Cassius something. Varro says, so please you will stand and watch your pleasure. And Brutus says, I will have so lie down and good sirs, it shall be otherwise bethink. So they all lie down, they're going to bed. And look, Lucius, here's the book I sought for. I put it in the pocket of my gown. Lucius says, I was sure the Lord did not give it to me. Bear with me, good boy. I am much forgetful. All right. Canst thou hold up my heavy eyes and touch thy instrument a strain or two? So he asks for a little bit of music to fall asleep to. Lucius says, I, my lord, and please you too. Bruce is like, it does, my boy. He's like, would it please you for me to play music? He's like, it would. Lucius says, it is my duty. Brutus says, I should not urge thy duty past thy might. I know young bugs live for time of rest. He's like, I know you need to sleep too. Lucius says, I have slept, my lord, already. He's like, I was already asleep. And they kind of just talk a little bit more about this, going to bed. And then finally people start falling asleep. I'm going to kind of skip through the end of this. Enter the ghost of Caesar. So Caesar comes into the, and Brutus goes, "Ha, who comes here? I think it is weakness of mine eyes. The shapes of this monstrous apparition come upon me. Art thou anything? Art thou some good god, or some god, some angel, some devil, that makes my blood cold and my hair to stare? Speak to me what thou art." And the ghost goes, "Thy evil spirit, Brutus. Why comest thou? To tell thee thou shalt see me at Philippi." So the ghost of Caesar, tells Brutus, he's like, "I will see you at Philippi once more. And when shall I see thee again? Ghost, I, Philippi." Brutus says, "Why, I will see thee at Philippi then. I have taken thy heart, thou banished the still spirit. I would talk more with thee. Boys, Lucius, Varro, Claudius, sirs, awake. Claudius, the strings, my lord, are false." He thinks that this is an instrument. So he immediately wakes up everybody in his tent. He's like, "Did anybody else see that?" And everybody's like, "Nah, dude, I'm sorry. And nobody else saw that ghost of Caesar that you saw." But ultimately, he's like, "I will see you on the battlefield." Caesar's like, "I'm going to see you on the battlefield in Philippi, Brutus." That can't mean anything good. This is the tragedy, after all. All right, so we're going to come back to this tomorrow. We'll be finishing up the play. We're going to be on to Act 5 by then. Sorry for the really quick run through. I just wanted to make sure we got it all done at once. All right, I will see you guys later. Have a great day.